Happy Poetry Month, everybody. I would like to read a poem from this excellent book, Riddle, Fishhook, Thorn, Key by Kelly Terwilliger. This one is called Beyond Swans. My friend once ate a swan, the only thing she was ashamed to admit she'd gladly eat again. She said it tasted like nothing else, more like eating a god, I thought, sky god, cloud god, thunderbolts fallen from its now slack beak. The body come plummeting down or pulled from the water, a huge feathered bugle curved upon itself, waiting for breath to sound it. How could you carry all that silent whiteness home? The intimacy of weight, lighter and heavier than expected. The head draped over your shoulder, soft as a child's, bobbing a little as children do when they fall asleep in your arms as you walk down a long path, the sky closing and seeming to detach from gravity the way the body does falling into sleep. I remember almost sleeping in my father's arms late at night after the bonfire by the sea, after the tide had returned. He climbed up and over rocks, and my body felt loose and safe. Almost asleep, being almost innocence, but awake enough to feel my own limp feet sway, to feel how gently he carried me. This is how I'd carry her, the one who ate a swan, who probably never will again, whose burdens now have changed their shapes as burdens do. And this is how it goes. The lake a long way from anywhere and night already approaching, the uneven ground stumbling a little beneath you, then rising to meet you again, your load, a heavy cloud, plucked from clouds, becoming more and more indistinguishable from whatever you thought you were as the gray edge recedes into dusk.
Hello, my name is A. Malikoff, and I would like to read two poems from Deb Akers' collection, Partly Fallen. The first poem is called Rainbow. A moment's spear of sun tears a strip in sky, otherwise dense with storm. My head turns instinctively, searching the rinsed light for that raised spectral bruise. And this is called Her Words Now. Hectoring crows haul the rags of night through an astonished morning. Fragment sentence rises, scatters, and suddenly flocks into a black airborne river. Syllables shred into feathers of urgent sound, their breaths intimate, matted and drenched, drowning the voice that layered my first darkness. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Reimer. I'm going to read a poem from one of my favorite Airlie Press books, Daughters by Brittany Corrigan. Siren's Daughter. Our songs are not for you. My mother didn't teach me to lilt a lyric from my throat, to crest a note from my tongue in order to enthrall or summon a man. Such conceit to think a goddess would sing of men's deeds. We sing for the same reason cranes sing, or the deepening whales, or a whole fierce chorus of wolves. I wish all of you would bind your rough and yearning bodies to the masts of your figure-headed ships, sails a beat in the salty wind, breaking the waves. Because truth be told, I've had enough of your maddening inability to keep your hearts and hands to yourselves. Your excuses puddle round your boots. But still you come. My mother says men cannot leave a thing of beauty to unfurl of its own accord. You must always lean in and pluck it, roots and all, no matter the withering. So we have to make our homes among the sharpest rocks. We have to pick the roughest whirl of seas. And if we draw your ships to smithereens, well, that will not keep us from singing.
Hello, I'm Irene Cooper. I'm an editor at Airlie Press, and this month Airlie poets are reading other Airlie poets and other things. Today I would like to read from the catalog of Broken Things by A. Molotkoff, and this selection is from the section of the book entitled Your Life as It Is. You wake up in the morning. You are in the middle of a vast, empty square, sharp nails of skyscrapers piercing the clouds. You must be here for a meeting, but you can't remember with whom. The buildings are identical. Your dead mother is surprised to see you. Her lips move, but no sound is produced. You realize you have gone deaf. You try to read her lips, but they don't appear to form words. You take her by the hand to guide her out of this place. Her hand is small. Your history is more ancient with every day. Before a moment passes, it is already registered in the catalog of the past. The catalog is not alphabetized. A few pawns are picking on a rook in the space between the ocean and the river. You go outside, but the outside is gone. It's like a vast, empty field, but without a field. It's like you, but without you. You have brought a library of building blocks from which you will construct it all over, every day. You must create yourself and the world around you. This is your life as it is.
Go.
This is the Migration poem by Charles Finn. Flap, 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 flap.
Happy Poetry Month, everyone. I will be reading a poem from Animal Afterlife by Jaya Stenquist. The poem is called Black Rhino. There's no sound so beautiful as my footfall in the dark, sound of myself alone. Milky light hits my tusk, the only touch I permit. When I stand near the rocks, I am a rock, the earth and I, steady circle onward. I've never hit anyone, never committed violence against my own species. Sitting here, Christmas music blasting, little blonde children running into my legs. I would like the joy of solitude, not the wanting of your hand close enough to touch wine in your parents' living room. Sliding home on the ice, there's no creature more violent to itself than me. If I saw a reflection, I would paw the black dirt, white light, tuck my armored chin, I'd charge.
Hi everybody, happy Poetry Month. I'm going to read a poem from this book, Jesus Comes to Me as Judy Garland, written by David J.S. Pickering. It won the Airlie Prize a few years back. And I want to read this poem called Jesus Comes to Me as Lucille Clifton. Lucille Clifton is also one of my favorite poets, and it feels appropriate to have a a poem about a poet about a poet. Jesus comes to me as Lucille Clifton. He comes in short lines, no caps, says the I is no more important than the rest of the letters, no less either. He wears loose cotton poetry clothes, Birkenstocks, says he loves his fro, his big glasses, generous hips, says they spin men like tops, good as ever, still has no use for periods, though the uterus is back and he goes everywhere praising menstruation. He tells me every day something will try to kill me, tells me it will fail, tells me I am a book of light.
I'm Jennifer Reimer with Airlie Press, and I'm going to read parts of America by Allen Ginsberg. America. America, I've given you all, and now I'm nothing. America, $2.27, January 17th, 1956. I can't stand my own mind. America, when will we end the human war? Go fuck yourself with your atom bomb. I don't feel good, don't bother me. I won't write my poem till I'm in my right mind. America, when will you be angelic? When will you take off your clothes? When will you look at yourself through the grave? When will you be worthy of your million Trotskyites? America, why are your libraries full of tears? America, when will you send your eggs to India? I'm sick of your insane demands. When can I go into the supermarket and buy what I need with my good looks? America, after all, it is you and I who are perfect, not the next world. Your machinery is too much for me. You made me want to be a saint. There must be some other way to settle this argument. Burroughs is in Tangiers, and I don't think he'll come back. It's sinister. Are you being sinister, or is this some form of practical joke? I'm trying to come to the point. I refuse to give up my obsession. America, stop pushing. I know what I'm doing. America, the plum blossoms are falling. I haven't read the newspapers for months. Every day somebody goes on trial for murder. America, I feel sentimental about the Wobblies. America, I used to be a communist when I was a kid. I'm not sorry. I smoke marijuana every chance I get. I sit in my house for days on end and stare at the roses in the closet. When I go to Chinatown, I get drunk and never get laid. My mind is made up there's going to be trouble. You should have seen me reading Marx. My psychoanalyst thinks I'm perfectly right. I won't say the Lord's Prayer. I have mystical visions and cosmic vibrations. America, I still haven't told you what you did to Uncle Max after he came over from Russia. I'm addressing you. Are you going to let your emotional life be run by Time magazine? I am obsessed by Time magazine. I read it every week. Its cover stares at me every time I slink past the corner candy store. I read it in the basement of the Berkeley Public Library. It's always telling me about responsibility. Businessmen are serious. Movie producers are serious. Everybody's serious but me. It occurs to me that I am America. I am talking to myself again. America, this is quite serious. America, this is the impression I get from looking in the television set. America, is this correct? I'd better get right down to the job. It's true, I don't want to join the army or turn lathes into precision parts factories. I'm nearsighted and psychopathic anyway. America, I'm putting my queer shoulder to the wheel.
Go.
From The Rainy Season Diaries by Jennifer Reimer. And after all the antics of liberation, we settled for blank walls and cautious displays, stuffing and mounting our mildewed artifacts. How many ages passed while we flipped through photos? The barely glimpsable glimpse of our naked bodies was never enough, but we have found our way back to touching ourselves. We have discovered torture. We have discovered the slippery, ravenous chasms, the persistence of summoned want. In those unfulfilled spectacles of concentration, the edge of something grows hard in our mouths, beneath our fingers. Right at the opening, the place on the other side of falling, part dream, part recollection. We were titanium, jacked in, tethered to impulse. You said, never has the promise of the future been so beautifully materialized, better than flying cars or robotic maids. And while this is less beautiful, it is also true. How the clock ticked toward another year while we dismantled the time machines and tore out our eyes when we could no longer behold the dripping, wet ache in them.
Happy National Poetry Month, fans of poetry and fans of Airlie. This is Jennifer Reimer, today with a deep, deep cut from the archive. With the ocean, how to stitch seas like tides, or constitute the current into a pulse that won't fail. No, she said, it's like this. From the reef she weaves hair into salt, maps, the water crosses arterial. There are no nets that can harvest this silence. Darkness leaves the body in increments. There is no water to perform baptismal rites, no shadow. Nothing escapes our eyes. All that remains. The moon sets pale horizon, the body baptized in dirt, from bone to sand. She watches a sparrow circle the table. What if the world, this tree, a sparrow wing, the remnants history carried, it is unbearable, predictable laws, the broken violence of the visible. What if the body is an instrument of recovery, not roads of concealed blood, beyond which our eyes do not close? The body translates into light when opened unveils syntax, deep cut across the breaking. She sees light breaking line, his body's translations, veils. Against the geometry of the changing moon, wood resists fire. We create maps made from splinters, our cut skin bled into earth, raised dust. The landscape hinges between two apocalyptic nows. She says, my heart is a ship. No, she says, my heart is a ship. Within the shadow of a cresting wave, reflection and infraction, water mirrors water, does not mimic the body. Within the distance of a cresting shadow, we hold our breath, waiting to salvage one more line.
Hello, I'm Irene Cooper, and I'm going to read a poem from Connie Soper's collection, A Story Interrupted. The title of the poem is Foot Massage. My parents never danced in the kitchen. No flamboyant dip in a red silk dress, no rakish tilt of the fedora. They swayed to a predictable rhythm of domesticity, proper, Presbyterian. Evenings with dishes cleared and children pajamaed, they sat at opposite ends of the couch. My mother slipped shoes off, stretched her legs to nestle bare feet in my father's lap. He massaged her left arch and then the right with strong thumbs, slowly circling the ankles to caress her heels. He kneaded crevices between each toe to touch that tender hollow on the underside. She settled into cushions, arranging her feet as a cat would curl, and like a cat, she purred. Who knew the foot, with all its tiny bones, could soften and surrender to pleasure like that? The whole house mellowed under its lid. Then they rose to the last choreographed tasks of the day. Latch the doors, dim the lights. 2 beats slow, quick, quick, slow.
Hello, I'm Joy Manasiotis, and I'm going to be reading a poem from Jennifer Reimer's book, Keshke, published by Airlie Press. And the poem I'm going to be reading is called Day After the Failed Military Coup. The day after the failed military coup. The day after the failed military coup is hot. Everyone stayed up until 6 a.m. Bleary-eyed from live streaming Al Jazeera or BBC, we blinked into the bright July. Some hours later, your body remembers the sound and feel of the Parliament explosion, like the first plane, first tower, another hot day. 2 days after the failed military coup, you cry over 9/11 at last. The smoke and ash, the last train from lower Manhattan filled with ghosts. The bodies falling through memory, always falling. Far away from Anatolia, where summer smells like scorched sweetgrass and pine, you remember the smell of steel and death, how you walked past it twice a day for months. On the day after the failed military coup, you're still thinking of Keshke and feel guilty about this. You remember Andrew's first apartment in the West Village in 2001, and you wish, Keshke, Keshke, Keshke. You talk about poetry and why you don't want to talk about it. On the day after the failed military coup, you drink because Turkey breaks and you don't want anyone to know. 2 days after the failed military coup, you've decided, but you don't know it yet, and you might as well finally